This early morning, let's explore both the 22nd and the 23rd verses of the Song of Enlightenment. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you are looking for. Let's see. This morning we will chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two. But first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Rey on Ahch-To under the guidance of Luke Skywalker, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. The moment you have a question about Buddhist or Taoist meditation or philosophy or their application, immediately type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of the screen. So let's begin with a bit of the old chanting. I moved to a mountain and found a quiet place, deep and secluded beneath tall pines. And outside a monk I enjoy sitting still, living apart and settled, I am truly at peace. Anyone awake knows there is nothing to do in a world of conditioned things, however it is different. Giving also a better rebirth, one is still attached to form. You may well shoot an arrow into the sky. Its momentum split, the arrow returns to earth, resulting in another disappointing life. So, as always, let's begin by exploring the translator's notes. The phrase quiet place also refers to a small temple or hermitage. Swan, Shui, Swan, Shui, moved. I forgot a consonant there. From the middle when Chao, after he returned from his visit with Hui Neng, and built a hermitage for himself and his sister above the southwestern corner of the city wall on Tsung Tai Shan. Once again, forgive my pronunciation, I'm not a linguist. So, truly at peace. The translator wrote, I've replaced the usual at rest with settled, based on the Chuanten Gu Glu and supported by the Tung Huan text. It's a homophone. Okay, that's fine. I think that's a text basically to defend himself against other linguists. You and I really don't have much to do with that. So let's return this. We can recapture the momentum. I moved to a mountain and found a quiet place, deep and secluded beneath tall pines. And outside a monk I enjoy sitting still, living apart and settled, I am truly at peace. The wise find practice far more fulfilling than mere accolades. After all, that's why this verse takes place clearly after the previous verse, where it talks about him going to visit Hui Ning, the head of the Chan school. Anyone no weakness, there is nothing to do. In a world of conditioned things, however, it is different. Giving alms for a better rebirth, one is still attached to form. You may well shoot an arrow into the sky. Its momentum split the arrow returns to earth, resulting in another disappointing life. So, clearly his intention was not to speak of archery, but to create a distinction between an awake life and an unawake life. In our interdependent universe, we have a choice. Either strive to game the system in hopes of receiving that which we desire, or transcend both striving and the system, and instead slice through the tyranny of the fundamental duality of dread and desire. To clarify this, let's revisit the Four Noble Truths from a certain point of view. Yes, there are stressors. Ask a biologist, they'll tell you. They'll tell you about circumstantial stressors, physical stressors, interpersonal stressors, and mental stressors. Ask a neuroscientist, they'll tell you we evolved the ability to perceive stress not as an accident, not as a flaw, but as a feature, as a survival mechanism. We evolved neurotic responses to real or potential stressors to keep us alive. So if our only goals are to live long enough to rear our young, then evolution's a jim dandy. But in a quirk of evolution, we developed a secondary reward system that also, it's oxytocin oriented, and it rewards for things that support, well, rewards for meaningful relationships and selfless service to our community by making us feel fulfilled, as opposed to the dopamine-oriented reward system, which rewards for things necessary for survival and reproduction by giving us short-term bliss, short-term pleasure. So they are at odds with each other just because of a quirk of evolution. And that's the second noble truth from a certain point of view. Definitely not from a fundamentalist point of view. One could say there is a way to reconcile these sets of drives. And the fourth bit of the Four Noble Truths is the way to reconcile these drives for personal survival versus our drives for fulfillment is by implementing the Eightfold Path. So our problem now, let's see what happens is there are a lot of people who understandably try to condense the teachings, and that's understandable. And often, because of the way we're wired, we will use figures of speech. Similes become metaphors, and that's fine. But some people are mistaught. And they're taught metaphors as metaphoric statements as literal statements. Then things get messy. So, if someone tells you life is suffering, well, if that's taken literally, that's pretty dark. It's supposed to be taken figuratively. Similarly, if someone tells you that all suffering is due to desire, no, it's supposed to be figurative. So our sufferings are multiplied by our controlling tendencies, and our controlling tendencies can be fueled by the tyranny of our primal survival drives. Our goal is not to remove our survival drives. They're necessary. Our goal is to free ourselves not from the presence of those survival drives, but from the tyranny of those survival drives. Hence the phrase, slice through the tyranny of the fundamental duality of dread and desire. As an infant, when we are faced with the presence of things we hate or the absence of things we crave, because we're pre-verbal, because we lack physical autonomy, our only choice is hysterics. And that's fine. After all, we're infants. The problem is, many times as adults, our response is identical. It's infantile. It's no longer therapeutic or appropriate or sustainable. We cannot think our way out of this conundrum, but we can use techniques to help us to make peace with the presence of things we don't like and the absence of things we do. That's exactly where we're going to meditate in just a few minutes. After we pause for approximately a moment of housekeeping. In the Tibetan tradition, and each tradition has its flaws, in the Tibetan tradition, neither nuns nor monks nor yogis or lamas are supported by monasteries. Au contraire, they gotta pay to stay there, and those who can't pay wind up homeless in the land of the snows. So it should come as a little surprise that in Tibet, a tradition developed that enthusiastic lay students would support their teachers. In America, if you want to support this teacher through Patreon, for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, you could use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code on the screen, or you could simply scroll down and click the Patreon link in the description area below the video. Let's practice. And by the way, if you just joined me, good morning. When you have a question, don't be shy. Immediately type your question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or their application in the chat window. My only request is that your question be highly specific. The more specific the question, the more satisfying the answer, typically. So we're going to play, health permitting, with 24 exercises, which can seem overwhelming. We evolved to feel most comfortable with 5. Small wonder. So we can think of it in terms of 6 sets of 4 exercises. Our first set of 4 exercises and our last set of 4 exercises are about love. We're going to start with Metta Satipatthana's 4 opening contemplations of love. So we're going to start with people's circumstantial needs, and we're going to wish that all beings everywhere experience very great good fortune. Now, our job is not to be Gandalf the Grey. We don't have to visualize or emote or make something happen. All we got to do is silently and mentally recite these words in coordination with our inhalations and our exhalations and our relaxation. And doing that, for some strange reason, will strengthen our empathetic intention, which due to neuroplasticity, will make the neural pathways responsible for empathy more robust. Let's practice. So here's a cool rule of thumb. We inhale, we mentally recite the italic word during the inhalation. We mentally recite the word that is bold during the exhalation. So it's kind of like you're reaching in a bag to pull out a dog biscuit, and then you're tossing it to the puppy dog in front of you. we switch gears from the circumstantial to the physical, and we act on the empathetic impulse to wish that all beings everywhere be healthy. During the inhalation, we silently and mentally recite health. During the exhalation, we silently and mentally recite all. The third base of mindfulness is our experience of the interpersonal. So we lovingly wish that all beings experience loving relationships, and we direct that intention towards all beings everywhere, real or imagined. We come to the fourth base of mindfulness, which is the mind. And so we wish that all minds of all beings be profoundly wise, because that would certainly fix a lot of humanity's problems, wouldn't it? And now we come to our second set, our second of 6 sets of 4 exercises. The common denominator of these 4 exercises is our bodies. So these are preliminary practices that help us with body-oriented centering. As you breathe in, silently and mentally recite the verb breathe. As you exhale, silently and mentally recite the adjective long. Long exhalations are very good to relax us. Now, it's tempting to say, well, this word is long, so I should do everything I can to ensure that that exhalation is long. But you don't have to. So there is a weird relationship. Words lead intention, intention leads mind, mind leads body. Simply by playing with these words, silently and mentally reciting them in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation, we'll be shifting it'll be like entering a new program in the computer between our ears. And it'll create an effortless change in our style of breathing. We come to the second exercise within this set of 4. Where during the inhalation, we begin to notice how our inhalations are just naturally shorter than our exhalations. And this gives us an important tool, just as a long exhalation can be relaxing, a sharp inhalation can be invigorating. And so there are times when a natural response to let's pretend there's 2 natural responses to lethargy. indulgence, where we go off and take a nap, or remedy, where we begin emphasizing short inhalations. Both are valid. I'm just trying to equip you with a tool right now. Let's play with it for the next 16 to 32 breaths. See how it plays out. Now, I would love to tell you that I'm special and the only one to ever teach this, but no. You can find commentaries written by old monks from Thailand teaching the same thing. Short in breaths are invigorating. Sometimes when we're meditating and we feel lethargic, we may feel, just as we have an inner ear which helps us to balance the left and the right and the front and the back so that we can walk in an upright manner, similarly, there are natural mechanisms that seek a remedy to agitation, long breathing, long exhalation, and that also seek a remedy to lethargy, which would be sharp inhalations. Both are valid when done rationally. We come to the third exercise in this first set of exercises. Where we get to notice our bodies, not just our respiration, but our bodies. And we could use the verb taste as a metaphor of perception, of perceiving. We're using form as a monosyllabic synonym for bodies. We come to the fourth exercise of our second set of 4 exercises. In the previous one, we noticed our form. Now we're going to allow our form to relax. We're using ease as a monosyllabic synonym for relax. But the important thing is we're not forcing it. We are allowing it. The mechanisms already exist within our body and our brain to notice these things, and for these things to become apparent, for these things to relax. In fact, it could be argued that these are natural mechanisms that occur every time we fall asleep. So we're not inventing something new. We're just using the tools that evolution has bestowed upon us. Remember, of course, that form is a monosyllabic synonym for body. I find it really weird that authority figures will sometimes scream at subordinates to relax. I can think of cops, aiming lethal weapons at citizens and screaming at them to relax. That's a tall order. It's tough to relax when there's a twitchy person in front of you who's had far too much caffeine leveling a lethal weapon. One of my many teachers was described by a member of the press as being the love child between a fluffy cloud and a bulldozer. This collection of exercises definitely trains our earth element. We come now to our third collection of 4 exercises. These could be described as Vedana Sati, and we're going to focus primarily on our feelings. We'll elaborate as we explain each exercise. Allow me to remind you that on the Buddha's original teachings, they were never meant to be elitist. They were never meant to be for special few. As Buddha lay dying, it is said that he explained, "I have taught with an outstretched arm and an open hand, keeping no secrets." Remember, Buddha taught that full enlightenment could be attained within a week. So, having played with the previous 4 exercises, we are now primed to experience blissful joy. And we access that rather easily. During our inhalation, we silently and mentally recite the verb grin, and the object of our smile is our own body. And our grin is very natural. We grin with the corners of our mouth, the apples of our cheeks, and the crow's feet of our eyes. Now, you don't have to get all perfectionistic about that. The very fact that I mentioned it and you heard it is enough. So let's play with this right now. Grin form. Remember that grinning is key to joy, and joy is the 4th enlightenment factor. So it's okay to grin. It's okay to have pleasure. We come to the 2nd exercise of our 3rd set of meditations. We're still grinning during the inhalation. Instead of grinning to our form, we're grinning to our thoughts. Now, what do we mean by thoughts? What if thought was not taken literally but figuratively? And what if in this context thought was an umbrella term beneath which were huddled many factors, such as emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination? So grinning at our thoughts is the opposite of being at war with our thoughts. we shift gears and we replace the verb grin with the verb feel, which is different than the verb taste. So by using the word feel, we are shifting gears neurologically. So we're going to do something that's scary. And the scary thing is we're going to be vulnerable to our thoughts. We're going to allow ourselves to feel what's going on with our emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. Sometimes it can be glorious, and sometimes it can be grotesque. So now we invite our thoughts to relax. Remember, it's about allowing relaxation, not forcing it. We come now to the fourth of 6 sets. And instead of working with our thoughts, we're going to work with our minds. So we're using mind, again, as figuratively as an umbrella term. And below the umbrella are huddled different functions, such as seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, and the like. We're going to notice this, and we're going to use watching as a metaphor of noticing. So if you're in time, as you get better and better at looking deeply, at perceiving with greater and greater degrees of vulnerability, you'll see that the flavor of tasting is different from the flavor of feeling, is different from the flavor of watching. These are just different dimensions of perception, metaphorically speaking, that help us to kind of neurologically change channels. So there's 2 types of people who are rigid or flexible, fearful or loving, controlling or laid back, elitist or egalitarian, competitive or cooperative, cruel or kind. And the people who are rigid talk about effort, whereas the people who are flexible talk about enthusiasm. Which do you think is more sustainable? This is our third grinning exercise. This time, instead of grinning at our form or our thoughts, we're grinning at our mind. We're grinning at our capacity to see or hear or feel or taste or smell or the like. We come now to the third exercise, to the third exercise of the fourth set, where we invite the umbrella of our mind to relax. If you've just joined, when you have questions, type your question in the chat window in great detail. So when we say mind, we're talking about our mental capacity to see, hear, feel, taste, smell, and the like. As we inhale, we silently and mentally recite the noun mind. As we exhale, we silently and mentally recite the verb ease, which functions as a monosyllabic synonym for relax. So there are two paths. There's the path of patriarchy and the path of matriarchy, the path of yang and the path of yin, the path of being rigid, fearful, controlling, and elitist, or the path of being flexible, loving, laid back, and egalitarian. One is very, very uptight. One is very, very laid back and groovy. I recommend the groovy path. You cannot fret your way to peace. So the teachers are inspired. If a set of practices or a set of teachings is inspiring anxiety in you, you have to understand that those teachings are counterproductive to your goal of mastering the path of peace. The path should be easy and pleasurable and fun. Now, the trick is we are not forcing our minds to relax. We are allowing our minds to relax. Relaxation is a natural function of our exhalations, parasympathetic nervous system. We don't have to force it. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. Having performed all these exercises in this sequence, it becomes very easy for our subtle mind to experience freedom from its controlling tendencies, freeing from its subtle controlling tendencies to label things. Upon the path of the Buddha, the only label we ever really need to use is simply the preposition this. As we breathe in, silently and mentally recite the noun mind. As we exhale, silently and mentally relax into the recitation of the verb free. So please remember, enlightenment is not about suppressing our perceptions. The first enlightenment factor is mindfulness, so there can be no enlightenment without being vulnerable to our perceptions. The key is not to squelch our perceptions, but to let go of their tyranny. Let go of the tyranny of our primal drives to shove at some things and reach for others. That drive is necessary. We just don't want it to control us. We do not wish it to fuel the fires of our neurosis. We come now to our fifth set of 4 exercises. This is where we begin contemplating impermanence. Now, we do not contemplate impermanence in a scary fundamentalist way. We're not trying to frighten each other with tales of hellfire, just of futility. When we look at the impermanence of something, it makes it easier to let go of it. The Buddha described it this way, that after the monsoon there is mud, and there's different footprints in the mud, but no footprint leaves a larger impression in the mud than an elephant's footprint. Of course, it's huge. Similarly, in the human mind, nothing makes quite as impression as impermanence. So we're going to play with a really concise rhetorical question. And by definition, it's not our job to answer a rhetorical question. We ask it in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation and our relaxation. And doing so can shift our worldview. The next time you're hot under the collar, play with these 4 rhetorical questions, and you'll feel better quicker. With the coming and the going of the seasons, whether those seasons are coarse or subtle, we see the impermanence of a year. With the waxing and the waning of a moon, we see the approximate impermanence of a month. With the rising and the setting of the sun, we see the impermanence of a day. With the swelling and the sinking of our chest, we feel the impermanence of a breath. Ever-changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. And now we get a little more subtler. What? Fade. Remember, these are rhetorical questions. We explore very subtle impermanence with the rhetorical question, what? Cease. We come to our fourth and final rhetorical question of the morning. We use the verb yield as a monosyllabic synonym for relinquish or release or surrender. We come to the sixth set and final set of 4 exercises where we blend love and ethics. Let us lovingly wish that the mind of each being fill with kind intentions. Let us lovingly wish that each being's communication be profoundly kind. Let us lovingly wish that each being's conduct be profoundly kind. Let us lovingly wish that all commerce of all beings be profoundly kind. So in other words, may none of us, may no being ever anywhere, choose to be a controlling Karen or a competitive Chad, but instead be a cooperative and considerate Bodhisattva. If you feel that I have earned it, type something in the chat window. Give this live stream a thumbs up and share it with your friends. In approximately 2 2/3 hours, I will return. I take it back. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I will return to lead today's evening meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.